Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next XOAP live session today with the number 11. Once again, with our CTO, Sinisa, I welcome you.
Hi.
As usual, this session will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel. So please ring the bell and follow our channel. But for today, back to our business, back to the topic. XOAP, everything, what's new in our universe, product, updates, news, whatever. Sinisha, it's your turn. Let's start with something what is really cool and unique in configuration management. Let's see what's happening.
All right, let's start with configuration management. What's new in the sphere? We actually implemented something that we talked about last update session as well. I think we already announced it. We have this compliance state here in configuration management. So in the past, we showed like the last state node was in. Now you have the possibility to click on this compliance pill here and get a list of past compliance state this node was in. So actually what you can see here, based on the policy interval that you defined for a node group, you can now see here that, for example, this compliance check is done every 30 minutes. And you can see for the last 14 days now what the state of this node was. You can also see like the duration of the configuration apply process. You can see which configuration was assigned to the node in which version, and how many resources are inside this configuration. And if you want to get more into details, you can see like this was the state and the last state were all also compliant. And if you click on this status pill here, you also get an insight of which resources were applied from which module in which version. And if there's something like an error happening, for example, an application couldn't be installed or resources not being set correctly, you can also click on a log file and then you get details of what was actually happening. And this gives you now the chance to actually see if something in the past was changed, like the configuration version that maybe leads to non-compliant states, and you can track better actually what's happening for your nodes. And we also added here like a little bit of information for shortcuts, where you can see which configuration is like currently applied, which policy is applied, and in which configuration group is this node, to help you get a little bit more into the details of what's actually happening for a specific node.
One question to that. It's not only the configuration what is checked. You mentioned that also you can see if an application get an error or return an error code.
Yeah, if I have something, maybe I can have a look here into the wrong place, details. So what you can still see in the node details, and we had that in the past, and we also have it here. You can see if an application role is assigned to a group of nodes, and a node tries to install an application, then you also see like those details here. The node compliance view is just to see like the history of stuff, but you can also get into the details here and have two different views that we actually implemented. In the first step, the node compliance view, to match it more like the current view what we are implementing, but this view here in the future will also change and get a lot more information here as well. So the node compliance is just the first step into helping our customer more understand what's happening on the node side. But when we're talking about compliance issues that can come up, it's not only the DC configuration that can fail, it's also about the applications that cannot be installed, for example. And we can see here that the delivery controller couldn't be installed with an error code of 6. So you can then get into the details and see what's maybe wrong with the application package.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
That answers my question. Great.
Good.
What's next? Yeah, what we can see with a new feature, for example, scheduled tasks or scheduled actions.
Or schedules at all. So
schedules at
yeah,
all,
we
right?
we we talked about it as well. So we have a brand new area here available in the lower left corner. So we started with those parameters, centralizing stuff, resources, and tags, and now brand new, we have schedules available. So what you can do here is, I hope you can see it. Maybe do that, make that a little bit bigger. So you can now add schedules. And schedules can be based on an interval, on minutes, on hours with minutes, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis or monthly basis. So you're totally free in how you want to create your schedules. And for
Hmm.
example, if I now do something like a 5-minute schedule, just call it like this, give it a tag, and just copy here over the description. And if you click next, you now have the possibility to directly assign existing images. So the things that you in the past had to run manually, actually, to click on the image and then run it. And the same for the platform management for the scripted actions. You're now able to just select the things that you want to schedule, and those items will automatically get the schedule and be run on this base here. So if I go to finish, I have a new demo schedule that I created. I can see the next runtime when it will run, and that will start those items that I have here. So I now have the possibility to actually really automate the image creation process without having to look into on the XOAP platform. So if you have, for example, a use case like running Windows updates every few weeks, you can now create a schedule that runs every 4 weeks, creates the image with the new Windows updates, makes it available, and the same applies to scripted actions that we have here in platform management. And that's actually the next step into further automate the items that we have here. And yeah, there's a lot of other things to come in this sphere here as well to more automate, but that's just the first step that we made here now for the schedules.
Very cool. So that means if I create the Azure Virtual Desktop base image, golden image, I can run the schedules every Friday, every last Friday of a month or whatever to rebuild my VM image build, fully customized with all components from application management, configuration management in one image build pipeline.
Yes, yes. And the next step will be something that we call dependencies. So based on an event, for example, a new image was created in Azure for your for a specific host pool that has a version applied. We will then have the possibility to create dependencies, and based on the image creation and the artifact that was created, to run a scripted action, for example, to change the host pool to the new image version.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's something that we will implement in the future as well.
And the cool stuff is also we talked a lot about housekeeping and housekeeping also on cloud platforms. So for example, if we have some scripted actions to clean up something on my Azure platform or AWS, whatever, now I can schedule it and run it across multi-customer, multi-tenant, more multi-accounts through this scheduling of scripted actions.
Correct. Or just set the security group how you want it to be, so, or
Yes,
something like
right.
that. So
Yeah, yeah.
yes, you're
Okay,
totally
pretty
free to do
cool.
so.
Cool.
Yeah, if you're talking about security, maybe one other thing that I'd like to mention is that we didn't have before, and it's not visible here in the front end at all because it's like more backend related. But for those customers who have more specific security requirements, our API uh, that needs to be reachable for a customer environment has now static IP addresses. So basically, customers who need to have very strict and specific IP addresses for the communication between systems are now able to specify like our backend static IP addresses and enhance the security for them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Regarding the security topic, yeah, we announced some blog posts also to in the direction of compliance and security standards. And there's also a blog post for STIG.
Mhm.
Maybe you can describe how it works in 2 sentences. Yeah, we have this module, we assign the module in configuration management, connect the system, and that's it.
I'm not sure if I have it here, but yeah, actually what you do is we have modules that we provide that have the latest security recommendations from STIG. We're currently working on also integrating something that's called Sisyphus. That's something for the German customers. So that's the recommendations from the German Department for Internet Security. So we are implementing this module currently as well. Should be available in a week or two latest. And those STIG modules that we provide like every 3 months, where they also make them available. So you actually can go to GitHub. There's always the latest version we have. So on our XOAP IO GitHub, let's see what we have here. So basically, you can see already the repository was created, but actually if I go to this January STIG thing, we have those releases here. And there you have like this module that you can download here based when it's created. And this is something that you just take, go to XOAP, click on the plus for the module, upload it, and then it's available for the usage with our configuration wizard. And then you can just directly add those configuration items to either an existing configuration you have, because those modules can be integrated completely in separate configurations, and you compile this thing with our front end, assign it to a group, assign nodes to the group, and then you are like already done with it. It's just a matter of a few minutes to get those configuration items and those security groups, security configurations into groups for assignment to nodes. So very simple process of actually making your IT infrastructure more secure by just a few steps. Because I think the most pressing part is always like you get those requirements and the recommendations. How do I get those things to nodes, especially when they are not in the domain, maybe in a home office or whatever, where you cannot directly get to the end device. Here we have a clear advantage with PowerShell BSC in our configuration management module, because we don't have dependencies on domains
Yeah.
or whatever. You just register the device and then you can configure everything that you need.
Yeah. And the nice thing is you do not need any VPN connection from the endpoint, from the remote location, to deliver a new security standard to the device. You can push it through the API or through the workspace. Yeah, okay, cool. I shared the blog article to this, which means compliance in a few steps. So check it out. Yeah, thanks, Anisha.
You're welcome.
Maybe a small what's coming next, what we expect in the next weeks or month.
Weeks, I hope so. So currently we are implementing the first step to enhance also our scripted actions, everything that's around scripts and resources that we manage in XOAP actually. So, for example, many people know that if I go to details of a PowerShell script, I can, where am I? Here. We are able to also edit the things that we have. So what happens if I edit a resource directly? So maybe I go to scripted actions to make this more clear. I can view the script and I can also edit it. So what happens here if I have a scripted action that is run on a weekly basis because it's important, and somebody changes it and it fails because of maybe he wants to do something differently on another account, needs just another parameter or something like that, and that fails. So that leads to the point that also other dependent scripted actions on this resource will fail. And to reduce that error possibility, every change that we do here, so if you upload a resource, it will get a version number starting with 001, changeable by the user. And what we will do is every change that is done on the script here will be versioned like we do it in the configuration wizard for the DSC configurations, we will make versioning available. And this will lead to, for example, to something like this, that if you go into the details and you have this script that you are using here, you will also have a version selection box where you can select the version that you need, so that if somebody makes a change to the script, it doesn't interfere with the scripted action here and doesn't destroy anything that might be important. And that's one of the bigger features that we will implement here for scripted actions and also for image management, for the image creation process, so that we make that better trackable what's actually happening here.
Cool. Very nice. I think that's it for today, right?
From my side, yes.
Great. Then thank you, Sinisa, for the insights. Yeah.
Thank you too.
Dear SOAP community, follow our channels and have a look at our newest blog post I shared in the chat, and we will share also on the video. It's about compliance and security and how to audit and apply different security and compliance standards. Like Sinisha mentioned, Center of Internet Security, STIG, BSI-IT Grundschutz, yeah, Windows
Sisyphus.
Privacy Compliance, yeah, Sisyphus, simplified through your IT infrastructure at all. So check it out. We wish you a successful week. And if you need more information, drop us a message. We will guide you or make a walkthrough through MikeSoap or through SOAP at all. See you soon. Have a nice day.
Bye bye.